Palace in what was once the throne room of the Tsars. Let's take a look at the stories making headlines in newspapers around the world for you. The French press, of course, full of comment and analysis of the election result in France. Le Figaro simply saying François Hollande president, but the right of centre paper also defending the former President Sarkozy's record, saying he was defeated with dignity.
Election fevers gripping the Irish Times as well as the French and Greek election results call into question Eurozone debt deals many hoped were already settled.
Nowhere will that worry anyone more than in Germany, where Chancellor Merkel faces, quote, chaos. According to the Financial Times Deutschland, her government has even less room to accommodate Greece and France now, after losing elections in one state in Germany.
State-run China Daily can see a silver lining, though, to this dark economic cloud, highlighting buying opportunities for Chinese investors as the Greek government sells off state assets.
Well, staying with European debt problems, El País says the Bank of Spain and the Spanish Economy Ministry finalising a reorganisation for the troubled lender Bankia, which needs up to 10 billion euros to rescue itself from bad real estate deals.
And ahead of Vladimir Putin's presidential inauguration later, the international Herald Tribune looks at the very secret private life of Russia's most public figure.
Earlier, Sally and I were joined by Cornelia Meyer, CEO of business consultancy MRL Corporation.
Well, they're saying, well, bienvenue, Monsieur Hollande, welcome to the new president. And as you rightly said, they sort of, to a certain extent, defend Sarkozy. But when you look at the vote, a lot of the analysts, the pundits, say this was less a shift to the left and more an anti-Sarkozy vote, because the French public felt he was out of touch. He was just too glamorous in a time of austerity. I think it was... He didn't come across too well.
Too much bling bling.
Yeah.
Okay. In Le Figaro, though, that they do defend his record, and they sort of say, you know, he played a very decisive role when the financial crisis did first emerge. History will treat him well. Do you think that's true?
I think partially it will treat him well, but then look who Le Figaro is. Le Figaro is the paper of the right wing, or the right wing in France.
But it is true that obviously all these issues that put the voter off, the bling bling, seemingly wanting to be involved in other areas. But when it came to that financial crisis, he was trying to put himself forward, wasn't he? At the G20s, at the various events, he was very vocal.
He was doing that, and he was very vocal. But still, France lost its AAA rating. So in the end, what was, you know, he didn't really achieve that much with being so vocal. And France will still need money to stay in the bailout money to stay in the euro going forward.
That's what you feel.
That's what I feel very, very strongly.
Would he perhaps have lost anyway? Because one remembers 5 years ago when he was swept in, people were saying he is the Maggie Thatcher. He's going to cripple the unions. He's going to bring in this American working model. Was he ever going to manage that in France anyway, even before the euro crisis?
No, that's just not the French way. Don't forget, the French are people who insist on having 2-hour lunches. Unspeakable.
Well, let's talk about then the future now, because the Irish Times brings up this point. French and Greek results throw EU debt crisis plans into doubt. Let's discuss that now then, because obviously in France they're very much analysing the two men, but the international press very focused on where now for the Eurozone debt crisis.
I think yes, and when you look at it, even the EU itself about 2 weeks ago came out and said we need to insert some growth measures into the fiscal pact. My worry is, I think that's absolutely right. You can't go all austerity. You need to do some growth measures as well. My worry is twofold. One, the uncertainty of unraveling the fiscal pact, although it may not be that severe, markets may see it as severe, and therefore I think we will see in the continent of Europe, we'll see a lot of red today, because the markets will be very spooked.
But beyond today, though, what will we see? Because obviously markets are quick to react in a very knee-jerk way, and that's happening at the moment. But when you look at the yields on French 10-year bonds, they have actually come down. Since Hollande won his first round, they have been coming down a little bit and easing a bit for the French economy.
Yeah, I think they saw that he is less bite than he is bark. That is one. And the other one is, if he really goes for stimulus, that would be good. That would get people back to work. It would kickstart the economy. Although what he's doing with Eurobonds for infrastructure, those are medium-term effects. Short-term effects will be actually negative if he increases taxation too much.
The Irish Times is also talking about the election yesterday in Greece. We don't know the final results of that as of yet, but the Irish Times also making the point that the EU is on record as saying to the Greek government, whatever the Greek government ends up being, we will not tolerate any movement away from an agreed programme. And yet you get these smaller parties, these anti-austerity parties, their election manifesto, they've all said, we want to change it.
Absolutely, and there will have to be a negotiation, and we will see what the outcome of that will be. And what is really scary is when you see that the New Democracy Party and PASOK, the two people who brought in austerity, came from last time in the election 77% to about a third, about 34%. So there is a very strong Greek vote. The people have spoken. The people have spoken against austerity.
And the people have spoken in Germany. Financial Times Deutschland looking at local elections that do not bode well for Angela Merkel. Just when she needs, you know, a bit of strength from internal, she's not getting it, is she?
The one thing that's good is that her party did well in the election. The one thing that's not so good is that her coalition partner, the Liberals, did well as well, and so they may become more feisty in negotiating. And the safer she is, the less grandstanding she needs to do in Germany, the more lenient she can be, and I think this bodes well. She will be as hawkish as she ever has been.
China Daily, good time to buy for the Chinese government.
Yes, but I think they're very smart buyers. They're not going to, they have one or two may buy an island, but they're going to go for the strategic things. You know, there's a port up for sale. They're going for the really strategic, yes, in Greece. They're going for the really strategic assets in Greece. I mean, this is about Greece on the China Daily.
And very briefly, Bank of Spain prepares Bankia refinancing plan in Spain. You know, that problem still very much there, isn't it? Even though we're thinking Greece and France today.
No, this is Spain is the next really hard place, and this is not the last that we've seen, because we have, with all the cajas, the regional banks, they have so much exposure to real estate.
Cornelia Mayer there of MRL Corporation talking us through some of the stories in today's newspapers.
Quick reminder of our top story: the French President-elect François Hollande will start work on forming a new government today.